Hi YouTube, it's Sassy Linda Lou, and I was thinking, I haven't made a video in a long time, but while I haven't made a video in a long time, I have been doing a lot of research, and I've been trying to educate myself on a lot of things that I felt like I was really lacking in. So this is kind of a look at some of the books that I have gotten recently, and books that I felt were really very interesting and very informative, and books I thought others on YouTube would probably find pretty interesting, and also very useful. The first one here is Just in Case, and anyone who's ever read my bio or anything like that knows that I'm really into emergency preparedness and doing what I can to take care of my family. So I found this book kind of by default, actually. I was watching a Discovery Channel show on the 2012 phenomenon, and Kathy Harrison, who wrote this book, was actually one of the experts, if you will, on that show. And I thought it was interesting, and so I looked her up, and I thought the book was great, and so I ordered it off of Amazon. This book it's an awesome book, especially if you have children and pets, and you're trying to figure out some way to teach your children to be self-sufficient. And if you are the kind of person who, like myself, am kind of scatterbrained, I'll admit it, I'm one of those people that's easily distracted by shiny objects. This book is great. It's very concise, it's very well organized, and it's really easy to kind of find the information that you're looking for, which is fantastic. Everything from the OR system, which is organize, acquire, and rotate, to getting your home and family ready to handle crises, dealing with disasters, and then becoming self-sufficient for yourself is all covered in here, and it's a great book. So I love this book, and it's an easy read, which is also nice also. It doesn't feel like you're being talked down to, and she isn't using words that make you feel like you're being silly. The other book that I got off of Amazon, because if you've ever been on the Amazon website, they recommend other books to you based off of what they think that you might like off of your first choice. And so I was turned on to this one, which is The Backyard Homestead by Carleen Madigan, and it's a nice thick book. She covers everything that you can do to grow enough food to be self-sufficient on 1/4 of an acre. Now, for those of us who live in cities, or even if you live in the suburbs, chances are if you live in tract housing or whatever, you don't have a huge yard. But she helps you to figure out what you can do and what you can grow and how to become as self-sufficient as you can be on that amount of land. So it's a great book. Lots of information on everything from making your own beer to preserving meat, grinding your own grains, what types of chickens work best, the different breeds of chickens, the breeds of sheep, goats, everything is in this book. Awesome reference. Two other books that I got off of Amazon were Root Cellaring by Mike and Nancy Bubble and How to Store Your Garden Produce by Piers Warren. Excellent reference materials. Root cellaring is one of those concepts I think that's really become kind of extinct with the advent of refrigeration. I think a lot of us have forgotten what it is like to live in an area, or many of us will never know what it's like to live in an area where you don't have access to a refrigerator and a freezer. So root cellaring in our country has kind of died off. However, they're kind of bringing it back, and they bring it back in a great way. The book is an easy read, and it tells you how you can use everything from an old car to a closet in your house underneath your stairs, or however you can do it that'll work for you. Has lots of ideas, tells you what you need for circulation, what you're going to need for how small an area can be, how large an area can be, tons of information, and it shows you root cellars that have been done and that work. So this is a great book. How to Store Your Garden Produce, again, Piers Warren did this one. It teaches you how to make your own wine, make jams and jellies, different ideas on making flavored vinegars and flavored oils, but different ways that you can store the things that you grow in your own garden. So I really like those two. This is a magazine, and it is by Country Almanac. And according to the title page, it's going to become like an annual magazine. I liked it. It has a lot of information on self-reliant living, getting back to the land. It talks about getting off the grid. It even has a section on bug-out bags. Just everything and anything that you could think of that you might have questions about, they have an article about, and you can also write to the various people that have contributed stories and ask them questions, which I think is pretty cool. It's a good magazine. Lastly, I just got these two. I'm not a canner. I have never canned anything in my life, but I want to. So the first one I got was this the Ball Blue Book Guide to Preserving. Very cool. Lots of information. It's not a super thick book, but it does cover a lot. Everything from the types of processing that you can do, whether it's a high acid food or a low acid food. It gives you an equipment list, like an equipment guide that you might need. It has a lot of like unusual recipes, things that I don't know, had never like occurred to me. I mean, I've heard of like, you know, apple butter and peaches and stuff like that, but I mean, it had a lot of information. Pretty cool. And this one is like the monster book. It's like 240 pages, and this one, I can't even begin to tell you the wealth of information that is in this book. Your typical jams and jellies, but it also has like a hot style chili sauce, a barbecue sauce recipe. There's ketchup in here, like to make your own ketchup. Who wouldn't like to make their own ketchup? Your chutneys, rhubarbs, that sort of thing. Salsa, relish, pie fillings. I mean, wouldn't that be great just to like reach over onto your shelf and grab out a jar of pie filling that you made when cherries and blueberries were in season, and just whip up a pie for the holidays. The thing I like about both these books, though, is that you're taking produce that you've either grown yourself or that you buy at the store, but you know what is in those items that you have canned. And I think that's a great resource, and I've been reading them, trying to figure out what kind of recipes I want to try, what things I need to have on hand, and the different types of equipment that I need to have to start, you know, canning and preserving my own food. So, once again, I just want to bring these to your attention because I think that they're all great resources. I think that there's a lot of things that are happening right now, either with our government or in the world in general, and I think it's important for us to be as informed as we can be. You know, you can't rely on someone else to just always give you the information that you need. You have to be able to be willing to go out there and educate yourself, and I think having a reference library does that. Whether it's, you know, a book on how to clean, you know, your animal after you've hunted it, or how to load your own bullets, or whatever it happens to be that piques your interest. I think it's important to have that information, and a lot of times it isn't conducive to have all that information just in your head. Sometimes it is necessary to have a book that you can go back to and say, oh, well, how much did I need for this, or what was I going to do with that, and to get that information that way. And I think something that we can all do, and something that I think will help everyone that we are in contact with our families and our friends, is to have the material on hand that we can, you know, we can either let them borrow it or give them that information. I think will be invaluable. We're going to have to learn to rely on ourselves. You know, relying on the government, as we know, is a dangerous business. And so I hope that this inspires you or helps you, or maybe I went over a book that you had been considering buying, but hadn't made that choice to purchase yet, and I hope this helps in some way. But thanks again, YouTube, and I will see you again soon.